So let's open up to other questions. And I think somebody has a question over on the right.
Is it on? Can you hear me, Father?
Yeah. Curious.
My question is, so you said that out of the 80, specifically the Church of Greece, out of the 80 or so bishops, 24 are going. Now, did they send invitations to all and only 24 accepted, or did they only send invitations to these 24? And if so, why these particular ones? Were they handpicked? To be blunt, I guess, were they more, seem to be more in favor of the texts? How
well,
they decide?
In the case of the Church of Greece, each church is different in terms of who's going, but no, they were not invited. Only 24 were invited from each church, and the church itself decided who those 24 would be. So in the terms, they had a meeting of the Holy Synod, and they decided on certain criteria. Basically, they said what bishops are involved now at this particular time in the diarchis, the permanent Holy Synod, which is, I believe, 12 bishops, or maybe 14. Those 12 or 14 bishops would go, and then they said, well, who else would go? Bishops from the previous Holy Permanent Synod or other capacities who are serving in other capacities. So they created some kind of criteria, and they agreed on that criteria, and then they said those bishops would go. And so some bishops are there are different opinions between those bishops. So there's not, at least in the Church of Greece, there's not an attempt to stack the decks, let's say, in one way or another. But each local church had to decide on what basis and who would go. The problem is not so much that who's being decided, who's being chosen to go. Problem is that the rest of the bishops who aren't going and who have no say and who have no vote, they should not be. They should have. There's no necessity for them to accept the council. They should be present. The church has always seen each bishop as co-responsible for the church. This whole process of taking it away from the pleroma, the fullness of the bishops, and restricting it to just a few bishops, and even really restricting it mainly to the primates. I mean, this council, as Metropolitan Herodos Vlachos has said, this council is really a council of primates, in other words, heads of the churches, and not a council of bishops. Because at the end of the day, the primate in every local church has a lot of power, a lot of sway over the other people, and he's going to determine in large measure what a local church is going to do. So that's the real problem, is that we've gotten away from Orthodox ecclesiology, and we're talking about pan-Orthodox decisions, but really we mean decisions of representatives of the churches and not all the bishops. And it's the same thing with the council. The council is not going to be a pan-Orthodox decision. Whatever they say, whatever they come out with, whatever they teach, it's not pan-Orthodox, because not all the bishops are there. In fact, the majority are not there. And then not all the bishops don't even have a vote. The churches have a vote in the person of the primate. So there's a systematic problem here. We have a diversion from Orthodox ecclesiology from the foundations, not just the texts that are coming out from the council.
So Father Peter, who actually established it? I'm a little bit confused. I mean, on the one side, if they're calling it pan-Orthodox, who put out the rationale saying, okay, each church will decide however they want to come? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Either it's pan-Orthodox or it's not. I'm confused.
Well, they said that each church can bring up to 24 bishops. They don't have 24 bishops, so they're not, they're going to bring how many they have. But they're saying that no more than 24 can come from each church. That was a decision of the primates, not of the local synods.
So the primates, when they met, the primates decided only 24.
Yeah, it was all done in a negotiational, table of primates and representatives. And 2 years ago, I think it was, in the beginning of Lent, and then this past January. And then some churches reacted against it and said, we don't agree for a variety of reasons, and we're not going. Other churches say we're going, but we want changes. Other churches said, no problem, we're fine with it. But that's not how you achieve pan-Orthodox unity. You don't achieve pan-Orthodox unity in this way. You create schisms in this way.
And why do you think it was done that way?
I can only speculate. And there's a lot of people doing that today. The problem is not what I think. I'm far away from the inner workings. The problem is that whatever the reasoning was, whatever the motivation was, the outcome is not orthodox, and so we're going to have problems. And the day after is, who knows the day after, but it certainly has the potential to be very explosive and be very problematic for the church because it wasn't based on orthodox principles.